We're up to our last three comma rules that we're going to be focusing on, 9, 10, and 11. So rule number 9 focuses on introductory words, phrases, and clauses, which we've been talking about in class as transitions. When we put words or phrases or clauses at the beginning of the sentence, we can connect different sentences together and show how they're related. In this case, first of all, spiders have 8 eyes. I have actually an adverb and a prepositional phrase together here. I put a comma there. You can almost hear the pause. First of all, spiders have 8 eyes. There's a natural pause there. We don't just put a comma there because it sounds good, though. We have to have a rule. But that's a good guiding thought to get you started. So I'm going to put my proof in here. I need a set of parentheses above it showing why I'm using it. And I would like for you to separate whether you're using an intro word, phrase, or clause, because we've talked about variety. We don't want to use all adverbs. We don't want to use all prepositional phrases. We need some variety. In the next example, because they also have 8 legs, they can stalk you better than any other insect. Here I have a dependent clause. I know that because I have a subject they and a verb have. They have 8 legs. Again, the sentence would be fine without that clause. I would just say, they can stalk you better than any other insect. But the clause gives me some additional information. Now I know why they can stalk me better, because they also have 8 legs. If I put my dependent clause at the beginning of the sentence, it needs a comma. If I put my dependent clause at the end of the sentence, it does not use a comma because it's not introductory anymore. I could say, they can stalk you better than any other insect because they also have 8 legs. You'll notice there also isn't a pause at the end. Okay, so when you put a dependent clause at the beginning, you need a comma. If you put it at the end, you do not. And this is probably one of the bigger comma errors I've been seeing. Okay, so here's my proof. Notice it says intro clause now because I have a dependent clause. So this will be a good practice with you identifying the differences between phrases and clauses too. Rule number 10, the compound sentence. A compound sentence is 2 independent clauses joined together. Now, one way you can do this is by using a semicolon. But when we want to use a comma, we put a comma and one of our fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Catch the spider and dispose of it before Mrs. Culleton notices. So I've got a comma connecting this complete thought, catch the spider, with this other one, dispose of it before Mrs. Culleton notices. You'll notice actually these are also both commands. You don't see a subject there because it's an understood you. I'm going to put my comma or my proof in there. Why am I putting the comma and? Because I have a compound sentence. And then the last rule is an interrupter, and this is probably a new one. An interrupter, just like its name, it's a word or a phrase or a clause that interrupts the flow of the sentence. And these you have to use a little bit of just judgment in how your sentence sounds. And again, listen for the pauses. Think of, is this group of words that you're putting in as the interrupter necessary? If you can take it out of the sentence, then it's an interrupter. Mrs. Culleton, however, won the battle because her students vanquished the man-eating spider before she even entered the room. Here, I could take however out. Mrs. Culleton won the battle, and the sentence would sound fine. So it's interrupting the flow, gives a little bit of a variety to the sentence structure. If I notice that I have a very choppy, repetitive sentence structure, and an interrupter can be a nice thing to help break that up. Now, when you have an interrupter, notice you're putting 2 commas in. So you have 2 proofs that you have to show. It's the same rule. They're both for an interrupter. It's very similar to an appositive. If it's in the middle of a sentence, you need 2 commas or 2 proofs to show your reasoning. Also notice that here's a case where I did use a dependent clause because her students vanquished the man-eating spider. And since it's at the end of the sentence, I didn't use a comma. And actually, here's another one. Before she even entered the room, another dependent clause at the end of the sentence so we don't use a comma. All right, so those are your 11 rules that we're going to be focused on. Make sure as you're using them, oh, I forgot, I have one more down here. There is, unfortunately, no fun video to watch for this one. So I could take unfortunately out of the sentence. There is no fun video to watch for this one. Putting my proofs in there for my interrupter. All right, so this is the last one. You do have a video to watch that goes over 9 and 10 in the next slide, and then you are done.